Now this really isn't some sort of triple D situation. By that I mean this isn't a dead, diseased, or dying issue. This cherry bush, my cherry bush here, and a couple of its children, either from runners or seeds, is oriented in a very special way where it's trying to come out into the road and it's blocked by a fence. It's just not in an optimal position because it was here before the fence was. So I am constantly trying to fight this from either growing too high up or growing out into the road. Well, it did both this year. So I actually pretty aggressively prune this every year, pretty much, which isn't the best practice. But I'll work with what I got here. This year, I think we're gonna go pretty harsh on it. It is too tall, so it's actually coming up to a power and communications line up here. As well as this is just growing out right into the road. Now that's bad for a couple of reasons. One of it, which is the branches that are in the road, the cars hit them, the exhaust is getting them and stuff, so they actually get a lot more pests and disease, simply because the branches become weaker because they are just not optimized. And probably because cars just bring stuff on them. You know, people are driving around, they're knocking against branches and stuff. And not sure if this is a native one. This was a gift from my uncle to my father, if I remember correctly. But this is a really nice sour cherry. So super hardy, but it just does get a lot of pests and disease on these ones that are too close to the road. I'm not really going to look at anything dead, diseased, or dying because there really isn't a whole lot here right now. I've actually cut off most of the diseased material in the summer. Really, I just want to not have this be so tall and in the road because I can't get the fruit from way up there, and the fruit usually falls off if it's too close to the road for all the reasons I already said. So I'm just going to take this branch back right away. I've been holding on to it for too long. You can see it's actually been pruned pretty heavily. I'm actually going to set these to the side because I do something sort of different than what would be recommended, because I'm trying to prevent rabbits from coming in here. Rabbits love Rosaceae stems, so they'll actually come in and strip these trunks. So the other thing that I generally try and do is try and keep the middle area open. As you can see, it's pretty sparse in here. And that's simply because I knocked back a lot of these branches in an attempt to kind of prevent that disease from spreading. But actually, because I'm going to be taking so much off of the top of this plant, I'm going to kind of let a few of these branches in here. I do need to find a way to just sort of prevent stems from going into the road. So like this is what I'll do with these stems that I'm cutting off, is I'll just throw them around the base of this. Now that just makes it slightly more inconvenient for a rabbit to come in here and start stripping stuff. I guess we'll focus on big picture here right now instead of super fine pruning, which I'll show you that too. It's actually a lot simpler than you'd think. Man, what do I want to look at here? Trees too tall, bushes too tall, I guess. So reasonably I can reach up to about here. If I step up here, about to here. So everything that's above this, I don't really want above this. So stuff like this, I'll just go fall real quick. Take that off. Paying attention to where branches are, because I do want them to kind of come outward. They will go upward, but we don't have to worry about that just yet. That's part of the reason that I prune these every year, is because, you know, I can make all these changes I want to it, but it's still going to try and grow up and out. And honestly, it is quite difficult to get up in here. And I will try and bring all these branches down to prevent disease from spreading in there. Now, I don't remember which ones they fruit on, flower on, whatever. It won't matter too much because I'll still get a bunch. They seem a little dull for my liking, but it's okay. It'll be okay. I am trying to preserve the big crown of this, but honestly, I'm gonna take it off. Now I just have to figure out how to get in there. I will let some of these go over the fence, because I think that'll be fine. There we go. Technically, you can clone the plant from all this material. I'm not going to do that. Okay, now we can kind of look at some of these other ones that are tall. Like this one. Man. I'm gonna use my hand pruners because I don't know what's wrong with that thing. It must be dull. This will give me a bit more of a good example of where I can actually reach to as well. Which I am still paying attention to nodes and buds and things like that while I'm doing this, which I'll have to give you a closer look at. Oh. Now I need to come on the other side here and get those two big ones up there. Which is another example of why I'm trying to keep this thing a little more open, a little shorter. This is just difficult. Now you might be wondering why I don't do this a little more aggressively. Really just optimize how I grow it specifically to harvest, and it's just because I like the more natural shape of this thing. So that's probably as much major material as I can take off of this without killing it. So now I'm gonna have to show you kind of close up what these buds look like and how I can kind of keep it from trying to grow into the road or just getting really tangled up, I guess. Now this is probably going to be pretty difficult to see, but this stem here, this is 1 year growth right there, I believe. These are some older growth here. I'm actually going to be taking this off back to this year of growth right there, because that one is growing upward rather than out into the road, which is where the camera is. It's going to be the same thing for like this. You can see there's a little bud right there. So when I take these off, I pick the bud that's going away from the road. Does that actually work? Kind of. It all depends on what the thing feels like doing, really. So like, same thing with this one. I don't really like the direction any of those are going. It's gonna get one that goes up, and there's a little one here that goes that way. Same thing for this here. There's one that's going down, so I'll just pick the one that's going down, even though I just cut that. I really just kind of make quick decisions and then do them, because this would take me forever if I wanted to really just optimize this. Like, boom, done. It is worth saying that this is also where a lot of the dead, diseased, or dying tissue, if I notice it, it comes off of there. But really, there's not a whole lot to do on here. You'll kind of see that I'm reaching up here and cutting stuff, but really that's only the stuff going towards the road. Simply because if I cut one of these vertical branches, it's not really going to do much. They're just going to keep going straight upwards. But if there's like a cluster of buds like there was right here, I'll kind of cut above that, because that'll give me a bunch of stems eventually. And it'll kind of, because it's so many stems all in one place, it'll kind of prevent it from growing super tall in 1 year, because it's going to be giving more energy to each bud. If you've ever pruned like a tomato plant, it's pretty similar to how I'm pruning this, simply because it's just the easiest way to do this. Just really simple. On a tree like this, a bush, actually see one that I don't like at all. Gone. Basically done here. At this point, I'm just being kind of nitpicky. Just because. It's not good to over prune, but I probably do over prune. This is a very hardy tree, so it doesn't matter too much. I keep saying tree, it's a bush. I like the looks of this branch. Yeah, actually. So that's a diseased and dying branch. I kind of take it back really far. Well, it doesn't matter so much if I just throw that on the ground. Probably not great practice to do that, but it really doesn't matter that much because of how hardy this tree is. It's a really big bud right there. Alright, that's probably good enough. That's what I'm going to have this look like now.